It's Ash from Super Videos back for another live Q&A. As always, we're going to go through the comments and questions in the chat. Now, something I do want to say before we jump into this is based on like a poll, not a poll, but I put like a, what do you call it? Like a post on the community section of YouTube letting y'all know that in the next few weeks before The Walking Dead is back, I'm probably going to be putting less content of Walking Dead on the channel, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to cover anything. If there's any big news or any kind of video that I think we need, I'll put it. But at the same time, I'm not going to go overboard and like post every day for Walking Dead, which is something I've been doing for the last few weeks. But I'm going to be kind of reducing the content for Walking Dead in the off season. When Walking Dead is back, I'm definitely going to kind of go back to the Walking Dead content that we have. But in the meantime, if there's anything that you guys feel that we should cover on the channel, definitely let me know. You know, put it in the comments, anywhere you can see, you know, even on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, all of the social media pages of the channel. You can go and let me know what content you want. And then I'll probably do a poll to see how many people would be interested in those content. And at that point, if we get enough interest, then I'll kind of do those videos. But like I said, we will still do Walking Dead content during the off season. It's just that it'll be less amount of content, and it'll be like if there's any big news that I want to cover, I'll cover them. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to say right off the bat. Let's see, there's a few people on the chat already. Another thing, as always, let me know if there's any issues with the chat or the stream, quality wise, like the audio, video, and all of that, any lag and things like that. Let me know as always. It looks like things are pretty good so far, so that's good. Latte Cheetle, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And you say, hey dragons. Not sure why you called the fam dragons, but I guess we can call the fandom that we have here on the channel something. And then you say Q&A, would you like to see Michonne use Morgan's axe, staff, or spear if she lost her katana? I see, like Morgan's new axe. No, I think if at a point Michonne loses her signature weapon, which is the katana, it doesn't really matter. None of the weapons she picks up will become an iconic weapon at that point, because Michonne is known by her katana. So if she loses that, then any of her new weapons won't become an iconic and signature weapon. You know what I mean? Much like Rick. After he lost the Colt Python, he's never gonna have a new signature weapon. Even though, you know, we want to see him with new weapons, it's not gonna become his signature weapon. So it's the same concept with Michonne. Whether I want to see it or not, it doesn't really matter, because like I said, Michonne without her katana is not really, it's not interesting, because we know Michonne by her katana. Mario finally caught up to it. Glad you could join, Mario. And then you say, how you been doing, Ash? I've been doing great. Thank you for asking. Hopefully you'll be doing, you've been doing great as well. Mario, how would you end The Walking Dead Mothership show? How would you end The Walking Dead Mothership show? I think they should return Rick and Morgan and make a big reunion with the old group. His comic part was terrible. Honestly, how I would end it without even kind of looking at the movie and the comic ending, I would say, because if we start looking at the movie, it'll get complicated because of this timeline and everything like that. So let's, for a sec, assume that the movie is not there. But, you know, Rick is, for whatever reason, not on the show. What I would do to end the show is I would say bring Rick back, definitely, especially if like we're not looking at the movie. But at the same time, I feel like there should be an ending that looks to the future. This is good in two ways. One, it lets us see that there's a bigger kind of world out there, and not even just that, but there's potential new stories to come. So it opens the door to having more spin-offs or stories related to the main show in the future. So honestly, I would end it similar to how the comics ended it. Take away the fact that take away what they did with Rick in the comics. I do think that they didn't do Rick's final story justice. I do still think that they needed to end his story in a similar way, but the way it happened was underwhelming, I think. But at the same time, like I said, I would do the same thing as the comics did, which is make the new legacy character. In the comics, it was Carl. Make it be his story. Make the final story be his kind of moment to shine. And leave the door open for a story where he is the main character. You know what I mean? So they could do a similar thing with Judith in the show. Obviously, like I said, the Rick part of it gets a little complicated, but I don't think that they should do what they did with Rick in the comics. They should do it differently. Let's see, Cheeto, how do you feel on the Rick movies Endgame crossover big war? I've talked about that before. I think concept-wise, I love it, but there's a lot of different pieces that make it complicated and make it difficult to, or make it really difficult to pull off. One is the timeline with the movie, the show, the gap, and all of that. The other piece is the movie is going to come out before season 11 ends. So that means that there won't be any more movies. You know what I mean? So that gets a little tricky, and it kind of messes up their plan as well in terms of what they want to do. But I do think that we're going to see a variation of a huge kind of war like you mentioned in season 11. It just won't go down exactly like you think. I think that realistically what we're going to see is the first movie is going to tease this war. Or not tease, sorry, it's going to build up this war from Rick's perspective. Season 11 is going to tease and build up this war from the survivor's perspective. And then future movies will give us that big war that you're talking about. Because at this point, there's no setup, there's no build up. So it would be completely out of the blue to have like a massive war happen right now. So obviously from the show's perspective, they're going to need to build it up and tease it. At the same time, from Rick's perspective and his point of view, they're going to need to do a similar thing. So realistically thinking about how that type of thing might happen, if it happens at all, which I think it will, like they're setting it up or they're starting the setup, but it's not going to happen in the first movie because it just doesn't make sense, because there's a lot of things that they need to cover as far as Rick's story is concerned in the movie before they can get up to a point where they can build this war, right? So from Rick's perspective, I feel like they have enough story to cover, so it's going to be difficult for them to get to the war aspect of it. They can build it up, but they can't really get to the war aspect of it quite yet. But at the same time, in the show, in season 11, it's the same thing, but they have more opportunity to build up the war. I feel like season 11 might do more to build up this war than the movie will. I think the movie is going to give us a good chunk of Rick's story, and maybe at the very end or near the end, they're going to kind of build up the war, but they're going to build up the war more in season 11, and later on in the second movie maybe, they're going to actually give us that war that we're looking at. And here's where things get interesting, because if they find or they see that a second movie is not possible, then at that point, there is a chance that they can add the war to the end of season 11. Because obviously season 11 is extended. It's longer. It has like six episodes more than a regular season does. Or 6 episodes, I think. So that means that they can kind of try to figure out what they would be able to, or what they can do in that in those 6 episodes if they feel like they can't bring up another movie. But I hope I what I said made sense, because I was a little all over the place, but Mario, I think Civil War with CRM and all others will just be a big massacre with poor direction for the future. I agree, and that's why I'm saying that there needs to be setup, and it needs to be something that's not over in like a battle, right? Because one battle is not a massive war. Just like when All Out War happened, we're like, that's not a war, right? Same thing, even more at this point. A war between CRM and Commonwealth will take, in their universe, maybe multiple months, maybe even several years. You know what I mean? So, realistically speaking, going back to that discussion that I had, they might do something something similar to what they did in The Last of Us. Well, where there is two big threats, the Fireflies and others, and there's skirmishes and battles between them to take over territories and things like that. But it's not like a one battle and it's the end kind of thing. Even though there's going to be battles along the way, it's not going to be like one big battle that's going to end everything. You know what I mean? So I feel like we shouldn't expect a massive war, like one massive war battle, because I don't think we're going to see something like that. Mario, and plus there aren't that many people alive. Yeah, from the survivor side, definitely. That's where the Commonwealth is going to come in. And not just the Commonwealth. All of the other kind of communities, colonies, territories that we've seen in the world of The Walking Dead. I did a video on that where I talked about all of the colonies, communities that we've seen and how they fit into this kind of big war with the CRM. Latte Cheeto, do you think Clementine would cross over to the show or have her own show? A Judith and Clementine team up? No, I don't think that we'll ever see that. I think that the Clementine comic story, the Clementine story is not in any way, shape, or form going to be crossing over to the show. I think that those are completely different. As far as whether there's going to be like a Clementine story or a show, yeah, that's absolutely possible in the future. But I don't think that it's going to be in the universe of The Walking Dead. Even though it's part of The Walking Dead franchise, it's not going to be in The Walking Dead universe because it gets tricky. You know what I mean? So I don't think they're going to do that. If they do that, there's going to be a lot of things that they need to make sure they do right in order for it to make sense and for it not to feel like fan service. Mario, and what is with Virgil and Connie? There's no way Virgil will return her to our group. I'm sure he has some connections to CRM, at least some. It's funny that you bring this up because I haven't really thought about Virgil and Connie ever since we saw the last episode, and I've never done a video about them afterwards. So that's a great topic that we can cover at some point in the future in the off season. But as far as Virgil and what he's gonna do with Connie, I agree with you. He's not just gonna bring her back. I agree with you on that. Connie would like to come back, so I think that's going to cause some conflict between them if Virgil kind of doesn't want her to go back or something. But I don't think that here's the thing, I don't think Virgil wants to hurt her. But I don't think that he necessarily would like to bring her back either. And going back to the other part of what you asked, whether Virgil is connected to CRM, there is a possibility. We've talked a lot about that when we first saw Virgil and we saw Michonne's final episode, and I still stand by most of what I said about that. I think there is a possibility that Virgil could be connected to CRM, much in the same way that Jadis was connected to the CRM. So it's not like he's part of the CRM, but he's doing trading with them, and he knows about them, and something along those lines. Mario, there is a reason why they returned his character. I absolutely agree. Especially because season 11 is the final season. Why would they bring him back for the sake of just bringing him back? You know? There's no point in it. Because he's not, I don't know about anyone else, but he's not an interesting character for me. So the only reason why him coming back would be significant is if he still has some connection to Rick and the CRM in the way that I described. Because then that opens the possibility to the group learning more about the CRM and potentially finding out that Rick is there. Because let's not forget, Virgil knows Michonne found stuff belonging to Rick and left, right? He knows that, so he could be the connective tissue to let the group know what's going on. Obviously, Judith knows as well, but Virgil was there. He saw what Michonne found. So I think put Judith's story next to Virgil's story, and that's going to build up momentum in the story, maybe in the other spin-off, in the new spin-off that they're going to make. That's going to get the survivors, or at least a selection of survivors, going after Rick. You know what I mean? Maybe this new spin-off is something that's going to connect to the movies at some point as well. Who knows? Latte Cheeto Q&A, do you think Judith will say something about Michonne finding Rick when she sees Virgil? I just talked about that. Yeah, I think she will. I think they put that there on purpose. Especially because Virgil is coming back. There's definitely setup for that conversation that you talked about. Latte Cheeto, do you ever think we will see Rick's brother in the first episode? Morgan said he had a brother. Do you think Fear or the main show will touch on that? I did a video on that already. I think if they want to do the Rick brother story from the comics, The Alien, which was a standalone comic on its own, the best place to do that is the movie, or one of the movies. The reason I say that is because season 11 is the final season. If season 11 wasn't the final season, then, you know, I would understand why they would bring him back there. Especially if Rick is going to come back at some point. But because of season 11 being the final season and Rick not being in the show right now, and most likely not returning in season 11, or not in a way that everybody thinks, then in that case, I think the best place to bring Rick's brother back is in the movies. Mario war with CRM doesn't make sense, but it would be so cool to see it on TV. All that action. Remember, all of those soldiers are pre-military black ops, who knows what. Commonwealth doesn't stand a chance. I agree. One reason I don't want to see that war in the show is because budget-wise, they're not going to give it the budget it needs. Like, you say it's going to be an amazing war. No. In the show, it's going to be a war like All Out War. We don't want that. You know what I mean? So the best place for a war like that is the movies. Because they have the budget of a movie. You know what I mean? And they don't have the other pieces of it. Like in the show, there's tons of actors. There's tons of people that they need to pay. The movie, there's less people involved. Less high, what do you call it? Like high paying actors in a way where they have to pay them a lot of money. In the show specifically, right? Or not in the show, in the movie. So they have more money in that way as well to spend on making the war that's going to happen in the movies, if it does, significant. Like action, like you say. Like a movie where, or not a movie, sorry, a war that feels like an actual war. You know what I mean? But I do agree with you, as it stands, Commonwealth doesn't have a chance. but mix Commonwealth with all of the other colonies that I talked about in my other video, like maybe Georgie's community, which Maggie came from, also Alexandria, Hilltop Kingdom colonies combined, like what's left of them, the people, also possible connections to Fear, the Rangers, Virginia's Rangers could come into play. Also, like I said, Commonwealth, the attachments they have, or the colonies that they're allied with, mix that with possible colonies that are going against the CRM, just like Omaha and Portland. If you bring all of those together, then you could see how this war kind of would shape up. Let me see. Chinao Brian 1. I hope I pronounced that name right. Chinao Brian 1. Let me know if I pronounce your username wrong. Episode 905 is the best of all Walking Dead. Give me one sec. There was something on the ground that was bothering me. It was a great episode, don't get me wrong, but the best episode of The Walking Dead, I disagree with that. Strongly disagree. I think, in my opinion, episodes that are better, I'm not saying these are in any order, but episodes that are definitely, in my eyes, better than 905 are No Sanctuary. Probably, was it 609 with No Way Out? That episode. Where Carl got shot in the eye. I would say, what else? Too Far Gone, another one that I feel is better. Because the only reason 905 is great is because of the Rick stuff. Right? Like, that's the only reason. And I'm not saying that's bad for that to be great because of that. I'm just saying that the other episodes had more things to offer than 905 did. The only I feel like if you take away the fact that 905 was great only because it was Rick's final episode, it doesn't kind of compare with the other episodes I mentioned. Mario, if I remember right, I think even non-military people signed up for Commonwealth soldiers with zero experience, just saying. Yeah, that's true. I think most of Commonwealth soldiers are or have some military experience, or were former law enforcement. The reason why I say that is, let's not forget, Commonwealth is a class system. And they operate on the foundation of you get the same job as the skills you possess. Like what you were before the apocalypse, that's what you're going to be now. That's their methodology, or that's their, what do you call it? That's their, that's how they operate, right? So because of that, I think that it's very likely that same mentality, they use the same mentality when they find soldiers for the Commonwealth military. So I think that there is a possibility that some soldiers may not have a lot of experience, but I think that, I'm specifically comparing them to CRM, but I think that they must have some level of past experience or skills to be able to make it to the Commonwealth soldier or Commonwealth military. Mario, it's just too big of a coincidence that Virgil is on some island Rick was and they haven't crossed paths. You know what I mean? Yes. Like I said, I think Virgil, I think Virgil knows CRM. I do think that he knows them. How much he's connected to them is a different conversation, though. Is he working with them? Or working for them? No, I don't think so. Does he have a connection to them in a way that Jadis did? I think so. Or maybe even... Yeah, something like a Jadis, I think. Let's say, Cheeto, what are your thoughts on Michonne Morgan, masked person from Maggie's group, and a Alicia team up? Sure, why not? I mean, I don't think Morgan or Alicia are ever gonna cross over to the main show unless they want to end Fear. But if they do end Fear and cross these folks over to Fear, then or to Walking Dead, then yeah, a team up like that will be cool. Mario, the only way that they can beat CRM is if someone sabotages them from inside. Like a rebellion or civilian war inside. They already teased that in World Beyond. Not all soldiers think they are doing good thing. Yeah, absolutely. I think a combination of someone working on this inside, someone like a Rick, or someone like a Huck from World Beyond, plus people breaking away from CRM, rebelling against them, like Will, or the group that Will was with, or even a Felix, or someone like a Felix or a Huck person or individual, mix them with people or soldiers that come to realize that the CRM are not good people, maybe during the war, mix all of that together. I think they will come together, plus obviously the other side, like the actual military of our survivors and Commonwealth and all of them, will be the reason why the CRM is going to fall. Latte Cheeto, from your point of view, when Fear crosses over back to the main show, who do you think Alicia Clark would connect to more on the original group when they meet? Alicia and Michonne friendship? Here's the thing. You're still assuming that Fear is gonna end and cross over. Even that's also two different conversations. If Fear ends, that doesn't necessarily mean everyone's gonna cross over. Right? So those are two big assumptions that we have. If Fear ends, and it's a pretty big if, they cross everyone over to Walking Dead, then we have even more assumptions. You're assuming Michonne is back for that last piece of what you wrote. If everyone is back and everyone crosses over, then yes, sure, why not? A friendship between Michonne and Alicia would be cool to see. Latte Cheeto, would you like to see Diana from Fear Diana from Fear, the black lady with the pickaxe that Alicia met? Would you like to see Diana and Michonne team up? There was a lot of conversation about whether she was connected to Morgan when she showed up. All of that was wrong, by the way. But sure, why not? They would be badass together. Oh, now you said how you pronounce it. China O'Brien. That's how you pronounce it. Okay. Mario, I think World Beyond Season 2 will be a big rebellion. It's up on timeline. Yeah, I agree. I think the movie is going to tease people sabotaging the CRM from the inside, I think. World Beyond, like you say, is going to tease that rebellion that they teased in last episode of World Beyond. Season 11 is going to tease the Force fighting CRM. And then I think the second movie is going to give us that big war. Is going to give us that kind of head-to-head battle between these two big forces. China O'Brien, episode 905 is feeling like no movie. Not sure what you mean by that. Can you elaborate on what you mean by that? Mario, even Leo Bennett said he doesn't trust military, but he trusts other civilians. Leo Bennett. Who is Leo Bennett? Oh, the doctor? Did he say that? Yeah, I think he did say that. Yeah, I agree. And he likes what they are doing. Yeah, I do agree. Like, Leo Bennett said he doesn't trust the military, but is working with them because of because of what it could lead to, and because of the positives that could come out of it. But he did say that he does trust the civilians. Yes. Jordan Mackinnon, or Mac. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. I hope I didn't butcher it, but Jordan asks, there is a chance whether or not we will see some of the characters, Amber, Tanya, Mark, Cal, Eduardo, Gage, Barbara, Nora, Alex in The Walking Dead, or spin-offs. I don't think we'll see them. What's happening to my camera? I don't think we're gonna see them in any spin-off. If they show up anywhere, it might be the Tales of the Walking Dead. That may be where any of them may kind of show up for an episode. And for most of the people you mentioned, I don't think even that makes sense. China O'Brien 905 has feeling like big budget movie. Yes and no. Like, the only big budget thing that we saw was the explosion, right? Other than that, it was just flashbacks, right? Like, everything we saw, or like No Sanctuary felt more of a budget movie thing than 905, or at the same level, right? Because No Sanctuary, there was a big explosion, just like the Rick's final episode. So I feel like it's still not budget movie. You know what I mean? Latte Cheeto, what do you think Daryl? What do you think the Daryl and Carol show will touch on? Maybe finding Michonne. That's a very good possibility. I think that it's probably going to tease at the group looking for Rick and trying to find him. And they might find Michonne along the way, who obviously would know more about Rick's fate. So I think that's a very good prediction. Jordan asks, will Dakota survive season 6 of Fear and make it to season 11 of Fear? Or will Dakota die in season 6 of Fear? I think, before I answer that, I think that I did a video on this, but I think that Dakota will be one of the key reasons for Virginia's downfall. I think that they've set up enough for me to kind of say that at this point. But whether she's gonna die in season 6 or make it past season 6, I think I'm 50-50. I think that they could totally kill her off as a byproduct of Virginia's downfall. You know what I mean? Or because of it, or something along those lines. Or they could keep her around till season 7 and make her become part of the group. So I could totally see both sides. I'm 50-50 on it. Latte Cheeto, do you think Virginia and Morgan groups will team up for a bigger threat? Yes, I do think so. I think there's a possibility of that. I did a video on that. What did I call it? Let me just check. the name of it, and then you can search for it on the channel. I talked about that in like detail, but yes, to give you a short answer, I do think so. I think there's a possibility that that's where they're going. Yeah, that I think I called it. So there's two videos where I talk about this. One is Dakota versus Ginny key to downfall, or that's the thumbnail of it. The title is Dakota the key to Ginny's downfall, and will Virginia die? That's the picture of it, in case you want to see what it looks like, the thumbnail. You can't see it. Anyway, that's I think you get the idea. The other is the end is the beginning villains explained on Fear. This is it. So these two videos are what you talk about. Or I talk about what you mentioned in those videos. China O'Brien, I think Governor series will be great. I don't think we'll see a Governor series. I do think we're going to see multiple Tales of Walking Dead dedicated to the Governor. I don't think we're going to see a spin-off or a series because it'll be short-lived. Unless it's a... And by short-lived, I mean it'll be short. Because obviously he's dead. The only way that would work is if it's a limited series, just like World Beyond. That's the only way that would kind of work or make sense. And the other part of it, how much interest will there be for like 2 seasons of a Governor story? Would it make more sense to do like 3, 4, 5 episodes of Tales of Walking Dead for that? I think so. Mario in Fear Season 6 trailer. There is a lot of explosions in Virginia's base. I think that the end is the beginning. Folk will start chasing her for the key. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Jordan, since Fear the Walking Dead died... Since Fear the Walking Dead Season 7 has been renewed and we will see the 4th Walking Dead character crossover to Fear the Walking Dead. Oh, will we see? Will we see the 4th crossover to Fear the Walking Dead? Enough with the crossovers. I don't want to see anyone else crossing over to Fear. If anything, I'm more interested at someone from Fear crossing over to Walking Dead or the 4th spinoff. I think it's enough. Like, enough of people crossing over to Fear. Morgan crossing over to Fear was a terrible idea. Dwight crossing over was a terrible idea. Sherry crossing over was just fan service in a way, and where the story kind of went because Dwight was there. So I think enough with the crossovers. Mario Ash also rumors that episode 8 of Fear is called The Door, and we already had an episode with John called The Key. Oh, that's a possibility. That would kind of make sense, like title-wise, and it would kind of connect. Latte Cheeto, what kind of trouble do you think Alicia Clark is in just watching the new trailer? They show Alicia a lot in the trailer. What do you think this means? Also, Alicia and Michonne are my girlfriends. LOL. Yeah, I do think that Alicia is in trouble. And I do think that she is in trouble with the end is the beginning group. I do agree with you on that. How much trouble she's in, I don't know. Will she die? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But I do think she's in trouble. And I do think that Morgan and gang... and maybe even the Rangers that Virginia has, like her settlers, are going to be the people that are going to save Alicia. My camera battery's about to die, so give me 1 minute and I will be right back. Alright, we are back. Where was I? Mario, so we might find out what that key opens in episode 8. Yeah, I agree. I think the key is most likely connected to the submarine. I could be wrong, but everything seems to point towards that. And by submarine, I mean the submarine that we saw in 601. Jordan, will Madison return in season 6B of Fear? Or season 11 of Fear? Or Tales of the Walking Dead? I think that there is a possibility that she'll return in season 11. They're entertaining the idea of her bringing her back, for sure. I don't think it'll be 6B though, but 7 seems more realistic. But if that doesn't happen, then... And so if that doesn't happen and Madison is never going to come back to Fear, then we will almost certainly see something with her in Tales of the Walking Dead. And that is if the actress is still down to coming back to Walking Dead in some form. Latte Cheeto, I would love to see Alicia Clark crossing over to Fear. Or to the original show. Yeah, from Fear characters, I think 2 people I would love to cross over, Alicia and Daniel. These 2 are the ones I think would be more interesting to see them cross over. And obviously, it would be great to see Morgan back. If he's ever going to go back, which is highly unlikely because it just doesn't make sense to make him kind of bounce around. It's more likely that he's going to leave Fear and go to the movies to reunite with Rick. That's more likely than him coming back to the show, to the original show. China O'Brien, Governor series has 3 seasons from Books of Governor. Yeah, I do get that there could be multiple seasons. I'm just saying that will there be enough interest? Will enough people be interested to watch 3 seasons of Governor stories? You know what I mean? Or would they rather see like 1 season of Tales of the Walking Dead dedicated to the Governor? You know what I mean? Jordan, will Fear the Walking Dead season 6B air late February or April? Let me think. They haven't come out and said specifically, but the 6 additional Walking Dead season 10 episodes are going to be starting late February, running all the way to, I think, April, right? So, or is it April? Let me see. So it starts like on the 28th or something. And there's 6 episodes, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll run till April 4th, I think. Like the final episode, 10/22, which happens to be Here's Negan from the 6 additional episodes of season 10, it's gonna end on April 4th. So if Fear starts, it would have to be after that. I think that they're probably going to either make it back to back with the last episode of the additional episodes, much like what they did with Walking Dead and World Beyond, or yeah, that and Fear and World Beyond. But if they don't do that, then it could return the following week. Unless they want to wait like a few weeks and then start the next half of Fear in like May or something. Mario probably after 10C is Fear. Yeah, I agree. Latte Cheeto, I wouldn't be surprised if Alicia was Rick's cousin. I don't think they're going there. Especially because there's no setup for it. it's completely out of the blue. I don't think they're ever going to do something like that. Latte Cheeto, if they bring back Diana, do you think Cram had her? Who is Cram? I have no idea who that is. Or CRM. I think that's what you mean. Do you think CRM had her? Who is Diana again? The pickaxe girl? I mean, I don't think CRM would waste their time with someone like her. Specifically. So no, I don't think they would have her. Unless they captured her and killed her to become some sort of a experiment for them. But I don't think it makes sense, like what you said. Jordan, can you can you predict who will die and who will survive in Walking Dead Season 11, the final season? Yes, we will be doing a death prediction video for Season 11. It's too early for that though. I'm probably going to do that video after the bonus episodes at some point. Before Season 11 starts. Latte Cheeto, do you think we will ever see Avengers in The Walking Dead? Like in the comics. Avengers. The Avengers in The Walking Dead like in the comics. Not sure what you mean by that. I don't remember seeing Avengers in the comics. Unless I'm not understanding that question properly. Alright, so we've been going for... Let me see, how long have we been going? We've been going for like 45 minutes. Maybe even longer. So we will probably go for another maybe 10 minutes. Rapid fire Q&A. So questions that are quick questions, quick replies. So quick rapid fire questions for the next 10 minutes. And we'll call it a stream. It was a great stream, one of the more engaging streams that we've had for a while. So great, thanks everyone for joining. But before we end, I saw some new faces on the chat. So if any of you are not subscribers, consider subscribing to join our community by pressing the subscribe on the bottom right. It's like somewhere, let me see, somewhere down there. Yeah, somewhere down there. Yeah, so click that. To join our community, and also make sure to share and smash the like button if you do enjoy the content. Mario or Latte Cheeto says I have to find it. Oh, with the Avengers comment. Yeah, definitely. Let me know if you find it and I'll check it out. And then maybe I'll understand what you mean. Mario, we talked about this like a few months ago, but if they don't tease anything with CRM in 10C, final season will have nothing to do with it because there is no setup. Have we talked about that? Did I say that? I disagree though. Maybe I did say that, but now thinking about it, I kind of disagree. Because I feel like 10C doesn't have to tease at CRM. Season 11 does, if there's going to be any kind of crossover with the movie and a big war, but I don't think 10C necessarily has to have any CRM connections. It definitely will have to have some sort of a reference or mention about Commonwealth, which we're definitely going to see because one of the episodes is about that. And but yeah, other than that, CRM, I don't think so. Jordan, in The Walking Dead Season 11, or not Season 11, in The Walking Dead Season 10 6 bonus episodes and Season 11 final season, what will Maggie and Negan's relationship and tension and dynamic be like? it's not gonna be great. I've said this before. I don't think that Maggie's gonna confront Negan because of Glenn. Again, because she already did that once. She got closure for that back in 905. So I don't think we're gonna see that. But the thing that's gonna make Maggie want to confront Negan is his involvement with the Whisperer story, I think. Now, where that's gonna go, I think it's gonna go the same way it went in the comics. It's gonna lead to Negan being exiled. Now, in the show, or in the comics, Negan got exiled right after Maggie confronted Negan about Glenn. But they're gonna remix that. They're still gonna have that happen, like Negan getting confronted by Maggie leading to his exile, but the reason for it is gonna be Negan's involvement in the Whisperer's arc, not the Glenn stuff, because the Glenn stuff, Maggie confronted Negan about it and it was over with. You know what I mean? Mario, I've been thinking why we haven't met anyone who escaped CRM, because no one escapes from them. Like Huck said, they always find you. Yeah, good point. And people who do escape, unless they're yeah, exactly like you said, unless there's a bunch of them, like what we saw with Will, the people that he was with, unless that happens, then yes, you're right. They will find you and they will try to kill you. And I did not just quote Liam Neeson from Taken. Let's say, Cheeto, do you think Negan episode will make us cry and get even closer to Negan? I don't know about cry, but I do think they're going to show a more sentimental side of Negan and a different side of Negan. I do think that. I don't know about making us cry, though. Jordan, in 1022, here's Negan, one of the 6 bonus episodes of Season 10. What will Maggie and Carol decide what to do with Negan? Yeah, I think you're right. That's where Maggie and Carol are going to be deciding what they do with Negan. And I think that's going to lead to him being exiled. The video I just did, like yesterday, about the Here's Negan table read, goes into detail about that. But I do think that that's where we're going to see it. What they're going to do with him, what they're going to decide to do, I think from Maggie's point of view, she's not going to want to have Negan around. She's not going to want to kill him, but she's not going to want to have him around. So she's going to exile him. From Carol's perspective, she's not going to care. Like she said in the episode, I think, where Negan brought the Alpha's head to her, she's gonna be like, "You're free. Go do whatever you want." You know, I'm not gonna necessarily vouch for you going back, even though that's what she agreed to. But yeah, you're a free man. You can go do whatever. I think that's gonna be Carol's state of mind, or what she's gonna think. And Maggie's obviously gonna want to exile him, at the very least. Yeah, I don't think she's going to want to kill him, but she's going to want to do something with him. And I think exiling him would be the first thing that is going to make sense to her. And I think that Maggie and Carol are going to come up with an understanding that they want to have Negan around, but not around. So I think the way they're going to exile him is that they're going to have him be banished. You know what I mean? So not necessarily exiled, but he's going to have to go off, live by himself. So, there's still going to be some level of kind of back and forth. So he's not going to completely go away forever. But he'll be away from Maggie, at least. It'll be similar to what we saw in The Walking Dead's final issue, where Negan was off by himself, living, and then it was Carl who was bringing him supplies and food and everything, and it seems like they had some sort of an understanding, or they came to some sort of an understanding where Negan was doing his own thing, but it didn't mean that the survivors would just leave him off to die. You know what I mean? Jordan, what will Negan's role be in The Walking Dead season 11? It depends on what they do. If they do exile him in 1022, then I think that the storyline with the Commonwealth, they're gonna find that maybe they need a Negan around to deal with stuff. You know what I mean? And they might kind of get him to not join back, but they're gonna try to use him a little bit in that story. And going into like this massive war that we're talking about, I think they would want to have like a Negan around, because he knows how to get shit done. And he, as bad of a leader as he was, like strict and terrible of a person, he could be like an army commander in a war like that, or something like that, you know? So that might be what they utilize him for in season 11, going into the movies. Latte Cheeto, do you think there will be tension between Judith and Herschel and Maggie because Judith likes Negan? No, I don't think so. I don't think that Maggie is gonna have a problem with Judith for having a bond with Negan. I don't think that. Judith and Herschel, on the other hand, debatable, but I doubt it. I doubt that that's where they're going with it. Jordan, will Virginia's Ginny die in season 6B? Yes, I think so. I doubt he's gonna live longer. Or she's gonna live longer. Latte Cheeto, will Virginia become a good guy at the end of season 6? It's possible, but she'll probably die before she redeems herself. Like, they might tease at that, but she's gonna die before she's able to redeem herself or become the good guy, as you say. Latte Cheeto, add me on Snapchat. I don't have Snapchat. Thanks everyone for joining. I hope everyone enjoyed. We've been going for like an hour now, so it's time to end it. Thanks everyone for joining. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like the video. Also, if you're not a subscriber, make sure to subscribe to join our community and smash the bell button as well on the bottom to get notifications when we upload. But that's it. That's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next stream.